saying that the kind of policy that has been drafted by the leaders of the country are policies that are worthwhile, policies that are very, very good for development to take place. But some people also are not in support of that. That yes, the issue of drafting policy doesn't end there. What about the implementation? How do they implement it? Are the resources available for them to implement it? If the resources are available, who supervises the implementation of some of these policies that were drafted, or some of these policy statements that were made or have been made by the leadership of the country? So these are critical issues that we definitely have to look into. And one of the key people that actually make their voice heard during this particular period are those in the civil society. Are they really observing the activities of government, or those who are in terms of affairs, to see that yes, what they are there for, they actually are also doing it to the betterment of the country. So if they are not doing it, definitely there's that need for us to really checkmate them and see that yes, we bring them back online. Sometimes if you don't talk, it means things may seem to be going bad. But when you talk, definitely those who are sleeping will definitely be awake and then make sure they take the right direction. But for many of us that still have this belief that yes, Nigeria is not where it used to be and there is more hope for us in the future, then it means we have to start doing the work today. And that's the more reason why we'll be having one of the civil rights activists who will be joining us via Skype. Here still in Abuja. I believe our location as of this particular moment is Gwagwalada. She'll be joining us in person of Anu Rotimi. Will be joining us just after the break to tell us our perception and our perspective about how she feels that we are doing in terms of leadership, and what does she see with respect to our developmental stride as a nation. So we'll be going on a very short break, and then when we return, we start up with the conversation.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
Mr. President, last Saturday, the country which I have the honor to represent, the Federation of Nigeria, became independent and assumed the rights and the responsibilities of a sovereign state. Today, Nigeria has been admitted into the United Nations organization and assumes still more responsibilities. I wish to make our position plain beyond any matter of doubt as regards the African continent. We in Nigeria appreciate the advantages which the size of our country and of its population give us, but we have absolutely no aggressive intentions. We shall never impose our ourselves upon any other country and shall treat every African territory, big or small, as our equal, because we honestly feel that it is only on that basis of equality that peace.
Welcome back from that break, and just before the break I did inform you that our focus today will be on how far the government has gone with respect to implementation of policies. But then we can't just use this 1 year of governance to actually say much about this particular government. But then we still have to take note that we transited from the military rule down to democracy in 1999. But how far have we fared? And has democracy actually given us the best when it comes to how we can develop fast as a nation? So that's the more reason why we have a civil society person today as our guest to tell us more with respect to what they've seen and how they're assessing the government of Nigeria. So let us take a very good listen to Anu Rotimi. Mrs. Anu, good afternoon and welcome to the afternoon edition.
All right, good afternoon everyone, Nigerians, and thank you for having me on your program.
Okay, it's nice having you today, and it is very important that we are having you today to further elaborate our conversation on this particular issue that has to do with leadership, which is very, very key, and then policy implementation, which is part of what they should be doing as leaders of the nation. But so far so good. How is your assessment of our democracy from 1999 till this particular point in time?
All right, so you see, it's quite important, and this is actually nice that we are having this conversation, knowing that during 12, just about some few days ago, Nigeria celebrated 25 years of uninterrupted democracy reign in the country. And when we look back over the past 25 years, can we really say we as Nigerians and Nigeria as a whole, have we really enjoyed democracy in terms of democracy? I would tell you, yes, we've been able to build a level of successes, looking at the parameters and indicators of what we call democracy. But when we look at democracy in terms of the government of the people, by the people, for the people, can we actually say wholeheartedly that we've gotten the government of the people, by the people, for the people? I would say no. What we have is a government of the elites, for the elite, and by the elite, and we need to change that narrative. It has been a roller coaster of we've seen some successes, and we're going back, step backward again in terms of some areas. So democracy is there, but I believe and I know that we can do much better than what we currently have now in the country.
Okay, so now when you look at it, based on what you've just said now, you are looking at it from the top of it. That's probably maybe the federal government or the president of the country. But then what would you say? Will you say that the buck is much for the leadership of the country? What about those in the middle? I mean, the governors now, have they actually done better than even the leadership of the country itself?
Yeah, so you see, this at the middle level, you see, when we look at the structure of the society and the community as a whole, I see we can't actually have a country. What we have is a reflection of who we are as a people. I will tell you that both the leaders and we, the followers as Nigerians, we have a lot more to do to achieve the Nigeria of our dreams. Because currently what we have is a system whereby we tend to push all the blame on the government. And what is government? The civil servants of the people you see as government, they actually are also they are people, they are product of the society. So we are all part of it. And when we look at the middle level, looking at the state government, we are looking at the local government, we are looking at the councillor, we are looking at the commissioner, and every other person, even the public servants, they've actually have they been able to they deploy and play their role the way they are meant to. I would say we still have a lot more grounds to cover.
Okay, indeed, the local government play a key role, and just recently you've heard the agitation for an independent activities for the local government, them taking their own responsibility by themselves, making sure that just the same way the federal government does his or her work without interventions from or interference from the governors or from the local government, the same way they want to return that favor to the local government, where they can actually serve as a local government administrator or administration of their own. So will you say that looking at the middle level now that you've stated, have the local government gotten to that particular apex where they can actually carry out a full-fledged administration of their activities?
Sorry, can you come again? I think I lost you a bit there.
Okay, what I'm trying to say here now is this. When you look at the local government, the way Nigeria is structured, the federal government, the state government, and then the local government. The local government for some time now have not been very, very free to carry out their own developmental activities. With respect to this particular issue that is gaining ground now in the National Assembly to try as much as possible to give the independency to local government, will you say that we are not yet there, or we are there now?
We are not yet there. You see, for us to have one of the things we look forward in the constitutional review is to give the autonomy of local government. And you see, recently we've seen the federal government taking the state government to court to say they want the full autonomy of the local government, because the local government, if you look at the layers of governance we have, the federal government, the state government, and the local government, they are not actually, the local government have been so silent because they are meant to be the closest system of governance to the people, and that is where we have what we call the World Development Committee, the wards. And if we only keep the world functional where we want to go for elections, then that means development will continue to be far from the people. So the part right now which we are taking to ensure that local governments have its full autonomy so they can actually perform their role. And they also we need to strengthen the local government functionality through the constitution. Currently, the constitution as we currently have it is not giving them that full tier. We need to be able to strengthen the role of the local government through the constitution, and we believe that the current review of the constitution will give more grants and the full autonomy that we deserve, that will actually help more people to participate in governance at the community level, and the grassroots will be given to us through the constitutional review that will empower and strengthen the local government to have its full autonomy. Even when the courts gives it, I think more. I believe that the constitution should also give it more backing. Like the way, for example, if you look at the way FCT has been constituted, we have the area council, which actually derive their power directly from the constitution, unlike what we have right now, that most local government derive their autonomy through the state assemblies. And so we need to actually enshrine and ensure that our local government have the ability to be able to display and dispense their roles.
That's a very good one. But now let me start from the bottom down to the top. Looking at the way things are now, what's your assessment with respect to the issue of security? Because this issue of insecurity happens in most of this local government, and because some of this local government, they don't have enough finance to manage issues within their local government, it becomes very difficult. At some point, you have to see the police have to come in, the civil defense have to be there, the Nigerian army has to be there. But generally, what is your assessment of the security situation now in the country?
The security aspect of the country currently is still not favorable, even though we've seen some reduction in reporting, which some attributed to the fact that the media is no longer covering the issues as expected, and that there are a lot of insecurity issues that are being covered up. Why we've also seen, like in FCT where you and I reside, in fact, just a couple of days ago, there were cases of report of kidnapping in areas like Kubwa, in Dawaki, in Kuje, and all those things. So, in terms of reporting situations of insecurity, we still have a lot of grounds to cover. And you see, in terms of, recently there was debate around state policing, but when we also look at the political interference in our security architect, some have actually argued that are we ripe for it? Some have argued that we are not ripe. Some have argued, so there have been diverse argument in terms of readiness to ensure that when we decide to have state policing, it does not become a tool of victimization in the hands of some when it gets to that level. But however, when we also look at where we are coming from as Africans, I can tell you basically that security has always been a function of the people, because when elements that are not actually part of a community enters a community, the people in the community actually know who resides and who does not reside. And we've seen the role that people like the vigilantes, they've played the role they've played in some places to address insecurity. You can see that they've done demonstrably very well, but just that we need to improve on that. We need to actually start looking at inwards to learn what are those things that we will be able to leverage, what are those things that we can pick up and utilize. We also have seen cases whereby in some communities they harbor criminals, they harbor those people perpetrating some of these crimes. But you see, when they actually become partners in addressing some of these challenges, I believe we will go a long way. So we need to start harnessing our community resources. We need to start ensuring that we empower the communities to take security more. And we can see the effect of insecurity around food security. For example, the insecurity now is affecting, it's part of the thing that is causing the food inflation, because people can no longer go to farm. Those foods that we import, that we get from the northern part of the country down to the southern part of the country, we're no longer there. People can no longer move food from the communities to the urban areas. So people cannot even go to farm. Just this morning, I saw a picture, or a video rather, of a farmer actually cutting down his corn, his maize, for cattle to read, because now we saw some people wielding weapons at this farmer, that unless he cuts down the maize for the cows, for the cattle to eat and feed upon, or he's going to pay with his life. So now you've seen a lot of kind of things going around the country. So the insecurity in the country, it's seemingly there. It looks like we're no longer hearing the glory pictures, hearing today sometimes people have been kidnapped or killed, but we are feeling it in terms of food insecurity. We are no longer able to feed ourselves as a nation. People are no longer able to go to carry out their day-to-day economic function. And when people cannot carry out their activities, it's going to impede seriously on the economic growth of the country. So insecurity is a big challenge which the government must address across all levels. We cannot keep our hands
with this, are you saying that with this, if you can hear me clearly, with this, are you saying that we should kick aside the state police and focus on vigilantism, or we improve on the local policing system that we have?
We need to improve on the existing local policing system we have. We need to also integrate the community people to be part of security architect. You see, we cannot leave security just to the hands of the police. People in the community know when a stranger enters the community. It's like what the police say, when you see something, say something. So people in the community, it's not about just having the vigilante, but everyone must be part of it. Everyone must start speaking out. When you see some foreign movement, you see something that is not usual within your community, people need to report, and people also need to have the confidence when they report the existing security architect, such information will be used and not used against the people. Because why a lot of things does not happen these days is that we see cases where citizens make reports rather than the security outfits to make use of those information for the good of the community. They go against the community people to say, for you to know this information, that means you are part of the crime. So we need to create a system of trust to enhance people's trust in the system within the security architect. Because when people now say something and they're now being labeled or tagged as the perpetrator of the crime or the violence, then you see that people will lose trust and people will no longer talk. And these are some of the things we've seen over the years in the country, and it's no longer giving us that, it's no longer giving the people that confidence. So the security architect needs to build the trust of the citizens more.
Okay, in this particular aspect now, do you think the government has put enough policy and is also trying to solve some of this problem? Are you really seeing the government taking major dimension with respect to how the issue of insecurity was treated in the past? Because you tried as much as possible to link, yes, the issue of the inflation in terms of the cost of food to insecurity, and then the let me say it this way, you are also trying to state that the security report we used to get on the media or from the media seems to be being dampened compared to the reality that is on ground. Am I correct?
Yes, that you are correct, because that is that's the perception. I'll call it a perception, because I'll say it's a perception. Yeah, that's
okay. Now, based on this your perception, do you think the government has done so much with respect to how they handle the issue of insecurity?
They've done quite well, but more can still be done. A lot more needs to be done. More grants needs to be covered.
So now, if peradventure the National Assembly passes,
address the conflict arising between the farmers and the herders, we need to address that issue holistically. We need to look at, because it's part of the things that is falling to insecurity, and we are now feeling it in terms of the cost, food inflation.
Okay, in this particular case now, let us move closer still on this particular issue, because the issue of security has always been an everyday issue for Nigerians. When you wake up, you want to see that yes, you live in a very good environment, and then you want to see that yes, your productivity increases every day. But if there is issue of continuous insecurity, definitely we'll have so much challenge. But I want to make this clear, because it is very important that the issue of media coverage on security, if you look at what is happening over time, we have the new media, we have the traditional media, and if you look at the issue of insecurity over time, whenever we have so much of insecurity, the traditional media always make that known to the public, including social media. Where the traditional media is not there, you see people also posting it, and definitely the media is always available to bring information to the people. But still on this particular issue, moving forward, when you talk about the community policing that you've stated, not the state police now as it's been envisaged in the National Assembly and the rest of it like that, don't you think community leaders or traditional rulers should be one of the key stakeholders in this particular drive for community policing?
Absolutely. Community leaders and influencers. You see, when we look at the strata of the way that our society has been built, we found that whether in the east, in the south, in the west, in the north, we realize that we have a structure whereby citizens have roles to play, and we have our various community leaders. And that is why I said, to see, when a stranger goes into a community, from community people, somebody in the community will know that somebody has entered that community. So and I know that there's already existing framework of partnership with community leaders, with traditional leaders, but we need to do more. That's what I'm saying. We need to do more. We need to build on that existing structure in a way that when something happens, they're able to, send information out ASAP, and they're able to receive the needed support that are required. We cannot continue. You see, when citizens also keep quiet, they see that we are not going to report. When we report, they don't come to our aid. It also reduces the efficiency, the collaboration between so it's not just about the leaders alone, it's also about the citizens and building that trust of engagement.
Okay, let us move now to anti-corruption, because Okay, sorry, I didn't get that, but I just want us to link this to the issue of anti-corruption, because over time, just recently it was published that the list that was released by the Nigerian police force was actually mad with some errors in it, and as a result of that, they've been able to withdraw that particular list by the Police Service Commission, that's the PSC. And then if you look at anti-corruption fights or anti-corruption drive in the country, do you think we're improving on the tempo or we are reducing?
Can we do what? Sorry, I lost you a bit there.
I say, if you look at recently, the PSC, that's Police Service Commission, released the list of those that were recruited or that will be recruited into the Nigerian police force. And at some point in time, again, that was after the initial release, there was also a statement to actually counter the first one that that list will be reviewed. And I'm trying to tie this to the issue of how we manage the issue of anti-corruption in Nigeria. Looking at the tempo at which we fight corruption, the days of Nuhu Ribadu, will you say that we are improving in it, or we are not yet there?
Corruption that has eaten so deeply into our system of living. Now, how well have we done in terms of corruption? Our corruption index, you can see there's a fight against corruption. But unfortunately, when we look at it, also we're trying to define corruption. Corruption is just more of, it's a liquid thing, because corruption happens at almost every fabric of society. So if a list of people that are meant to uphold the rule of law are in recruitment have been tampered with, how well are you also sure it also compromises integrity of those personalities? It's like somebody that has been put in to fight corruption, to fight insecurity, to make the society just and right. It's not going there. It's not based on merit. It's based on a backdoor approach. How well will such a person be able to deliver? So the integrity of the person to be able to uphold the rule of law is already in question, because such a person, the means of getting to that position is being questioned. So the integrity of such a person to fight corruption, to fight the vices of society, is already being compromised. So the fight against corruption needs to be more deliberate. It needs to start from individual. We need to build a high level of integrity. People need to build character. People need to be intentional about we doing what is right at all times. I find it a bit very, very uncomfortable knowing that the whole Police Service Commission is being asked to withdraw list. What happened to that process? What was integrity check put in place to ensure that such a misdone or misdeed or misact does never even take place at first? It shows the quality of respect for the rule of law. It shows the fight against corruption. Because how will someone that wants to fight corruption also be the perpetrator of the corruption itself? So you see, we take 10 steps forward and we take 20 steps backward when it comes to this implementation, because it also shows that some of the people, it talks about the integrity of these personalities or these office holders. And it shows that a lot in terms of value system is being eroded day by day.
But when you say that corruption is beaten into the fabric of the nation, some people will not actually agree with that statement, because they will say it is what you know, but not what is in reality.
Well, when we say corruption is the fabric, it's not becoming the fabric of society. It's because, you see, if you even ask a child now that what do you want to become in future, they will tell you they want to just make money. They will tell you they just they want to buy. I saw a video sometimes ago when a child was asked that what do you want? Said, I want to have a plane, I want to have a helicopter. And when you ask, said, because that is what is reigning in the society. So you see, the corruption perception is still very high, because quite a number of people just believe that. And it has eaten deep, because almost even a child right now will tell you, why will I have to labor when I can just get something done without laboring for it? Because they believe that things can happen without integrity, things can happen without hard work. And that is why you see a lot of people trying to cut short, And you say corruption is not only about saying you are giving bribes. Corruption is just about when you misuse an opportunity in a wrong way.
So in this particular case that we are discussing,
it's actually very fast, and that's why you see scholars have not been able to come to it comes to a defined definition of corruption. It's a definition that is very liquid, is vast, because even when corruption can happen even in the home, when you favor, when there's partiality, when you try to give resources to that belongs to one to another, when you practice nepotism, it's corruption. When you give, when you abuse your position for a privilege, for personal gains, it's corruption.
So what will now be your take now with respect to this present administration? What will be your key advice? Because now we have new leadership in terms of manning the two anti-corruption agencies, the ICPC and then the EFCC. What will be your advice? What turn do you think they should make in terms of fighting this corruption? Because it doesn't just lie within one particular parastatal or one agency. We are talking about issues of corruption in so many sectors of the economy. So what do you think should change at this particular point in time? Is it the method of them fighting, the method they are using to fight corruption, or you feel that they don't have enough manpower in dealing with the issue of corruption?
So I would say it must be a multi-dimensional approach. Right now, the system needs to be more empowered. They need to have a level of independency. Then we also need to start, when we say we are fighting corruption, we need to be more dynamic and intentional about it. Now, recently there was a case of a politician that the EFCC was trying to array for some form of corruption, and we've seen how the politician has been able to leverage on the rule of law, on the judiciary system to evade some things, and the person has not been able to, we've not been able to hold that person to account. So it shows how the system is working. So it's something that they must continue to find a way to integrate both systems, both EFCC, ICPC. They need to work more together, and then the judiciary needs to work closely with them. The judiciary needs to work closely with them within a framework of what we want as Nigeria. Because you see, when we keep saying, yes, rule of law is very important, we must respect the rule of law in everything we do. EFCC must respect the rule of law. Then citizens too must respect the rule of law. It's important that we stop using rule of law to evade justice, to fight corruption. I'm going to use this platform to plead and seek the indulgence of our lawyers, of the legal practitioners, to please continue to translate the legal framework, the rules to fight corruption. We should not turn it into a tool to sustain and protect corrupt public officers or citizens. We need to be more intentional and truthful to ourselves in this fight against corruption. It's extremely very important. Extremely
I can see that.
And also, we also want to. I also want to say, in terms of personnel, it's extremely important that I know that, for example, ICPC needs more personnel. They need more resources. So I also want to plead to the government to actually deploy required resources so they can actually be able to leverage on technology more better than what it is currently now, because we have a lot of technology they can actually leverage, but we know that this technology does not come cheap, so they need to actually invest more resources to them, both the FCC, both ICPC, and even the police, even the immigration, the custom, and all these other paramilitaries and the military system. So we need to invest more in our security architects and also in fighting corruption. And it's a fight for all citizens. It's not just a fight for the ICPC and EFCC. When we as citizens ourselves refuse to be corrupt, then the corrupt politician, the corrupt public officer will not have an inroad to be able to carry out their corrupt acts.
Indeed, the corrupt politician and then the corrupt whatsoever will not have a role to play in carrying out their corrupt act. But that makes me to also pinpoint one of the issues you raised earlier on, and that's the issue of the judiciary. I can see that you have so much concern about our justice system. What is the major issue do you think needs to be addressed in the judiciary?
One of the things that we need actually judiciary reform currently right now. There needs to be an overhauling of the judiciary system. We see, we need to ensure that we put a system that will actually promote merits Merit. We need to start seeing appointment of judges. We need to start seeing a system that is incorruptible, because we cannot afford to have corrupt judges, people that, when they give judgment or they give pronouncement, it puts the country into disarray. We need to start, have judges that will not put us, put us under the bus. You see, there have been so many pronouncements and judgment that they will say based on technicalities. And those technicalities sometimes put a citizen like me, that I'm not a legal practitioner, but we need to start, the sharing system needs to start putting, their conscience, let me call it conscience, into play. They need to start putting their conscience into play and ensuring that they deliver judgment that will put this country on a pedestal of righteousness, that will put us on the pedestal of development and growth.
Okay, now let us just move quickly into the issue of economy. And I know you earlier stated one or two things in relation to that. But then do you see us moving fast as expected, looking at our GDP stance, looking at the way the banks are getting things done now based on the leadership that we have in the CBN? Can you hear me? Can you hear me from your...
I think I lost you there. Sorry, because I'm joining via internet. I'm in a community. That is why. Sorry, can you come again, please?
Okay, I just want you to respond based on our status now with respect to our economy. Do you think we are faring better based on the new leadership we have in the CBN, the Minister of Finance that we now have, and then also the committees that were set up by the President to manage the issue of the economy? That's the Economic Planning Committee. Hello, can you hear me?
Hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
All right. Now, I said, let me speak as a Nigerian. As a Nigerian that goes to the Nigerian market, I go to the market, I feel what Nigerians are feeling. We want to see an economic growth that a Nigerian can survive in. As long as our economic growth is not translating to improvement in the livelihood of Nigerians, then we are still speaking a lot of English. We want an economy that I won't have to carry a Ghana must go to the market before I can buy a Congo of Gari or a cup of rice. You and I know how much a bag of rice costs in the market now. We know how much 10 pieces of tomatoes cost in the market now. So we need an economy that Nigerians can feel, whether in the urban area or whether in the rural area. Now, an economy whereby Nigerians are not able to meet their livelihood, are not able to live well, then I will leave it that it's an economy on paper. I know that the president has done quite a number of things. There's been change of leadership for the CBN in terms of that's the monetary policies. We are having some new in terms of fiscal policies. But also at the same time, the array of taxation on citizens. I want to ask that the government look inward and actually create a succor for Nigerians. Nigerians are not finding the economic interesting. And if we're not actually careful, we will continue to create more problems where they are trying to solve another one. We've seen a lot of cases where some policies are not speaking to each other. And for example, we've seen case of electricity tariff being increased. And in some household, whether and your people are still earning as low as we are still having a minimum wage of 30,000 naira in an economy where the value of 30,000 naira is just mere about 10,000 naira. So if we place this inflation across the economic policy of the government, I don't.
We're still listening to Anu Rotimi there speaking on the state of the nation. I'm looking at every sector that is important, the issue of the economy, the issue of the security, the issue of anti-corruption, and so many other issues that we are raising here is very, very important. And how has the government been able to put up policies and also see the end of it? Because one thing is for you to put up policy that will also drive the nation forward, and then the other thing is for us to see that you implement the policy. So she's back. So Anu, you can go ahead, please.
Okay, so sorry, you lost me, and
Yes.
the network here. That's one of the things we need to improve in Nigeria, because we need to be able to have access to reliable technology. So as I was saying, is that in the economy, Nigerians need to be able to feel it. The government needs to start.
Still, the network technology, as she rightly stated, is a key issue. But then in Nigeria, definitely there are so many issues that needs to be addressed, and every government comes with their plans, and we hope and pray that yes, they see the end of the plan, because when a government starts a particular project and then there's no continuity in it, there's a problem. But now we have a leadership of the APC in the last administration, and now we have an APC still leading the country. We expect that yes, at this particular point in time, we are going to have a more transiting process in terms of implementation of this policy. So if we have Anu, can you just listen to you and one more time before we call it a day on the program? Okay, we seem to be having challenge with our network over there, and just like we've rightly stated, there are so many indicators to show that yes, we are moving forward, or we are actually staying put, or we are moving backward, retrogressing in this particular case. But then she's back, so let us get her.
All right.
Okay, please, you can go ahead with my last question, please. You can go ahead, please.
Thank you. So as I was saying, is that we need the government to ensure that the economic policy they are putting in place actually aligns together and work for all Nigerians. We want a case whereby the economic policy, the fiscal policy, the monetary policies are all in sync with each other. We want to see a case where a woman in the rural area is able to go to the market and get what she needs. And this will also help our economy to grow. Because when we have these economic policies and monetary policies that are not translating to improvement in the livelihood of Nigerians, then there's still a lot of grounds to cover. Because right now what we've seen is that yes, people are not feeling it. The economic is tight. The Nigerians are not feeling the growth. The Nigerians are not able to cope with this economy, and it will result into a lot of things. So we need the government to deliver on governance that resonates with Nigerians in a way that Nigerians can actually feed. Let me also align with what we want in Nigeria, that Nigerians can breathe and live well. That's what we want.
Thank you so much, Anu Rotimi, for joining us today on the afternoon edition. It's nice always to listen to you, most especially you being in the civil society space. It gives us a broader view of the activities of governance and how best we can implement issues as a country.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So this is how far we can go today on the afternoon edition, discussing issues on state of the nation, looking at leadership implementation in all spheres. As she rightly stated, the local government, the state government, and then even the federal government have their role to play, and each one of them should be given their rightful role, of which she rightly mentioned that the local government needs to be given more for them to be able to reach down to the people, because the people seem to be more closer to the local government, and also the state government will also need to give the local government the free hand to actually work in a better environment where they can also triumph as local government administrators. So this is how far we can go today on the program. My name is Isa Numu. Have a wonderful day and stay blessed.